Before the glittering palaces on Mount Olympus, before the epic tales of heroes and monsters, and way before Zeus was the king of, well, everything, there was a war. And this wasn't some petty squabble between mortals over a city or a stolen queen. This was a war for the entire cosmos, a brutal decade-long conflict that pitted kids against their parents, God against God, all for total control. This is the story of the Titanomachy, the war that made the gods of Olympus. The universe basically started with a family feud. The primordial sky god, Uranus, took one look at his monstrous children, the one-eyed Cyclopes, and the hundred-handed Hecatoncheires, and decided, nope, he hated them. So he imprisoned them deep within the earth, in the abyss of Tartarus. As you can imagine, this didn't go over well with their mother, Gaia, the earth itself. She was furious. So she armed her youngest Titan son, Cronus, with an unbreakable sickle and a devious plan. Cronus ambushed his own father, grabbing power in a shocking betrayal that kicked off a cycle of vengeance for the next generation. But as Uranus fell, he cursed his son, warning him that one day his own child would overthrow him too. It was a prophecy that would haunt the new king of the cosmos and spark a war that would literally shake the foundations of existence. Now in charge, Cronus was absolutely terrified of his father's curse. He married his sister, the Titaness Rhea, but his paranoia was all-consuming. To cheat fate, he did something monstrous. As each of his children was born, he swallowed them whole. Hestia, Demeter, Hera, Hades, and Poseidon. One by one, they were devoured by their own father, trapped inside him just to keep a prophecy from coming true. Rhea was heartbroken, forced to watch as her husband consumed their children. But when her sixth child, Zeus, was born, Rhea had had enough. With a little help from her own mother, Gaia, she hid the infant Zeus in a cave on the island of Crete. Then she handed Cronus a rock wrapped in a baby blanket. Blinded by fear and arrogance, Cronus swallowed the rock without even looking, thinking he'd dodged fate yet again. Far from his father's tyranny, Zeus grew up strong, raised by nymphs and fed by the milk of a magical goat named Amalthea. And as he grew, so did his plan to free his brothers and sisters and take down the Titan who had stolen their lives. The revolution was quietly waiting for its moment. Once he was an adult, Zeus was ready to make his move. Guided by Metis, the Titan goddess of wisdom, he snuck into his father's court disguised as a cupbearer. Then, one evening, he served Cronus a little something extra in his wine, a potent potion crafted by Metis. It worked. Violently ill, Cronus threw out the children he had swallowed, who emerged, not as babies, but as fully grown, incredibly angry gods. Finally reunited, Zeus and his siblings Hades, Poseidon, Hera, Hestia, and Demeter made their new headquarters on Mount Olympus. From there, they declared war on Cronus and the other Titans who were dug in on the rival peak, Mount Othrys. The battle lines were drawn. On one side, the old guard, the powerful Titans, led by the fierce Atlas under Cronus's command. On the other, the young Olympians, burning for justice and a whole new order. This was the Titanomachy, and it would rage for 10 grueling years. For a decade, the cosmos was a battlefield. The earth shook, the seas boiled, and the skies lit up as gods clashed with unimaginable power. They literally threw mountains at each other. But even with all that cataclysmic violence, it was a brutal stalemate. The Titans had raw, overwhelming power, but the Olympians fought with a desperate strategic fire. The universe was stuck in a cosmic deadlock, and it was threatening to tear everything apart. As the 10th year of the war dragged on, Gaia, the ancient Earth Mother, stepped in again. She told Zeus that he couldn't win without some backup, specifically the uncles his father had betrayed all those years ago. The Cyclopes and the Hecatoncheires still rotting in Tartarus. Taking her advice, Zeus journeyed down into that dark abyss. He found the monstrous warden Campe, a creature set by Cronus to guard the prison, and slew her, freeing his long-lost relatives. Overjoyed to be free, the giants immediately pledged their loyalty to Zeus. The Cyclopes, who were master craftsmen, got right to work forging game-changing weapons. For Zeus, they made lightning itself his iconic thunderbolts. For Poseidon, they built a mighty trident that could shake the very planet. And for Hades, they crafted the Helm of Darkness, a cap that could make its wearer completely invisible. The Hecatoncheires, the hundred-handed ones, brought a different kind of firepower. Back at full strength, each of the three giants was basically a living artillery piece, able to throw hundreds of massive boulders at once. It was a terrifying force that the Titans simply couldn't handle. Armed with their new superweapons and backed by their monstrous allies, Zeus, now an unstoppable force of nature, unleashed the full power of his thunderbolts from Mount Olympus. The cosmos itself seemed to scream in protest. The air burned, the oceans boiled, and the earth cracked under the divine attack. The Hecatoncheires rained down a constant storm of stone, a bombardment so intense that the Titans were thrown into complete chaos. Amid the confusion, the Olympians pressed their attack. While sources don't spell out every detail, it's thought that Hades, using his Helm of Darkness to move unseen, could have slipped behind enemy lines to sabotage their efforts and sow even more panic. Poseidon's trident ripped the ground apart, and Zeus, leading the charge, finally came face to face with Cronus. The battle between father and son was earth-shattering, but with the power of the thunderbolts, Zeus was just too strong. One by one, the Titans fell. Once defeated, most of the male Titans who fought against Zeus were bound in chains and thrown into Tartarus, the very same prison they had used for their own family. To make sure they stayed there, the Hecatoncheires were posted as their eternal guards. But for Atlas, the Titan general, Zeus had a special punishment. He was sent to the western edge of the world and forced to hold up the heavens on his shoulders for all time, a permanent reminder of the price of defying the new kings of the cosmos. The Titanomachy wasn't just a war, it was a hostile takeover that set up a whole new cosmic order. But the story of the gods was far from over. This new era of Olympian rule is where we get the legends of incredible heroes, terrifying monsters, and epic quests that we still talk about today. If you want to explore the age of heroes that came next, let us know in the comments. And make sure you subscribe and hit the notification bell so you don't miss the next chapter of mythology. With the Titans locked away, the war for the universe was finally over. Now the victorious Olympians had to divide up their new kingdom. The three brothers, Zeus, Poseidon, and Hades, drew lots to decide who got what. Hades drew the short straw and became lord of the underworld, the realm of the dead. Poseidon got the middle length, claiming the seas as his domain. And Zeus, drawing the longest straw, became the undisputed king of the gods, ruler of the sky and everything on earth. He set up his court on Mount Olympus, the new center of all divine power. A new order was born, forged in a decade of fire and rebellion. The age of the Titans was over. The age of the Olympians had begun.